Alright guys, this is gonna be a little tough to say. I'm gonna be honest with you. I am not a fan of Girl in the Fireplace. Alright, let me explain. I don't hate it. I do still think it's one of the good stories. I just don't seem to love it as much as everyone. But before I go into further detail, let's just have a look at the story. We start the episode set in France throughout the 18th century, where a group of repair droids have been stalking Madame de Pompadour, played by Sophia Myles, throughout her life. However, it turns out that the repair droids have come from a 51st century spaceship created with time windows, including a fireplace, which the Doctor and his companions, Rose Tyler and Mickey Smith, have stumbled upon. They discover that the droids plan to remove Madame de Pompadour's brain as a replacement for their ship at a point in her life, as they believe her to be compatible with the ship. But in the midst of it, a long, complicated romance seems to be forming between the lonely alien and the French princess. Okay, now let me explain why I don't fully like this story entirely. The main issue for me is the romance. I just don't buy the romance between the Doctor and Renette. Now, before you all kill me, let me just point out, I get it. And you're right, it's the idea of a little girl falling in love with an imaginary friend. I mean, I know that David Tennant and Sophia Myles were dating at the time of filming, and the performances for the most part do work, but there was always something about it that just didn't feel right. Whether it was Renette fully forcing herself onto the strange man, even though she was engaged to the King of France, or that the Doctor was snogging what used to be a little girl he met about 5 minutes ago. Plus, Rose seems to be a little okay with this. Yeah, the girl who would get jealous of the Doctor having interests in any other woman would be okay with this one? I don't know, it just didn't seem right to me. But that doesn't matter, since she and Mickey do not seem to do a lot in this episode, especially since this was meant to be Mickey's first outing as a companion. I'm not entirely sure this was actually written for him. Although I do like that we actually get to see both Rose and Mickey actually have fun together. Also, when it comes to arranging stories where you place one story in a historical genre and another in a sci-fi conceptual storytelling, this kind of merges the two, which I do like, but I do find it to be a little distracting. Most of the episode is heavily leaning towards the futuristic stuff in the ship, but I would rather have preferred it to have taken place more in the time period. Plus, I'm not entirely sure how this droid ship portals actually work. I mean, I appreciate the idea behind it. Okay, now that's out of the way, I do still like the story. I think the writing is absolutely one of the best. Much like Father's Day, this one is like a fairy tale. In fact, I've seen like fan artists recreate this story almost like a Disney animated fairy tale, and I can easily see it working. The love story of a lonely alien from another world and an intelligent, confident young woman who don't meet at the right time due to fate. That's a good plot. In fact, much like School Reunion being a prototype for the Sarah-Jane Adventures, this is obviously a prototype for Series 5. As much as I'm not a fan of the romance, I do actually like Sophia Myles' performance as Madame de Pompadour. Sure, you can easily see fragments of River Song and Amy Pond in her, but at the same time, she stands in the room with a lot of confidence in her. She knows who is in charge, and she has the higher authority. But I am more easily a fan of the young Renette scenes. They got a good actress to play her, and the scenes in the fireplace bedroom leap off the screen. Like when the Doctor saves her from the monster under the bed. It's the only scene I would remember the most from this episode. And though probably not as scary as I originally found them, I have to say the clockwork droids are one of the most fashionably gorgeous looking monsters I have ever seen. It would be way too obvious to praise the fully detailed clockwork within a plastic head shape, see-through head shape. It's just mwah. But most of the time, I love the whole Georgian masquerade look. I can just imagine these creatures appearing again in a type of Phantom of the Opera scenario. And much like the Empty Child, Moffat has taken another everyday item and made it scary. But here I think is where it's more effective, with the sound of ticking when there is a broken clock in the room. Plus, the whole idea of the droids using human parts to fix the ship is a frightening concept though. But man, the final reveal of why the droids needed Madame de Pompadour, that was a good way to end the episode. How the main character does not get the answers, but we do, and we're still left with questions needed answering. This is Stephen Moffat's second script for the show, and you can easily tell from the cleverly written dialogue mixed with overcomplicated exposition. The timey-wimey elements he likes to write in is heavily implied with the fireplace being a time-skip portal to France, or how each window is a different point in time. That's a clever idea, and it does make the actual tragic love story actually work for the most part. And following from the Doctor's talk with Rose in school reunion, we do see how the Doctor's life can really be if he was ever to fall in love or get mixed with an impossible lifestyle like this. That ending with the letter just makes the whole rewatch worth it, as well as Murray Gold's happy sad lullaby theme. I never stop getting overwhelmed by that track. So yeah, for the most part, this episode is still pretty good. The acting is great, the production is great, the script is great, the music is great, the sound and filming is great. But the only thing that did not work for me was the actual romance. I'm not entirely sure how you can make it any better. Maybe if you took the companions out of the story and gave maybe more time for the chemistry between the Doctor and Ronette, maybe I might appreciate it a little more. But that's not to say this is a terrible episode. It does deserve to be put on the top 10 lists. It just did not seem to win it for me for the first time. But I am happy to learn to love it the long way round.